Okay, everyone, we're going to go ahead and get started. We are working on getting Alice's camera on so you can see her beautiful face. But in the meantime, I just want to welcome you here. Thank you so much for joining us live with Alice, the host of your virtual insight trip to Uganda. I'm Laura DeGrange. I'll be moderating for the next 20 minutes or so, and we'll try to get through as many of your questions as possible. Some of our questions were asking some of our guests were asking good questions during the trip just a few minutes ago. So we've collected some of those and that we thought would be helpful to answer here. As I've noted, if you have any questions, go ahead and there she is. Hi, Alice. You can go ahead and drop them in the Q&A chat below, and I'll see those and we'll just handle those in real time. I'm not sure we'll be able to get to all of them, but we will do our best. And as we get started, I also just wanted to tell you a little bit more about Alice for those of you who haven't had the pleasure of meeting her before. She started an opportunity in Uganda in 2007, and in the last 15 years has held a variety of positions with the organization, from being a relationship officer, which is someone who works in the field with the clients, to being a donor liaison who hosts guests like yourselves on in-person insight trips, to a project manager overseeing our gender inclusion efforts. Alice also holds a bachelor's degree in commerce and a postgraduate degree in monitoring and evaluation. She's deeply knowledgeable about our work in Uganda, as you no doubt have already noticed, and I have to say is an absolute pleasure to be around. Alice, thank you so much for being here today. I know it's late in Kampala right now, so we appreciate you taking the time to answer a few questions. We've got quite a few rolling in, so let's get started. One of the first ones is about how far does your staff have to travel to reach clients, and what is that like?
Yeah, thank you so much. And I'd first of all like to welcome back everyone from the Insight trip. Hope you really enjoyed yourselves. So in regards to that question, how long does it take for our staff to get to the field? This really depends on a number of factors. I could say 2 hours, I could say 1 hour. For example, traveling from Mubende branch to Elijah's farm can take us between 1.5 to maybe even 3 hours. That depends on the nature of the roads. Most of our roads are maram roads, so and also the season. Is it a rainy season? Is it a dry season? During the dry season, the trips are shorter because the roads are good. During the rainy seasons, the trips are a bit longer because of the type of, it can get so muddy. Sometimes the cars can get stuck. So that really depends on the road, the weather, and also on the means of transport. Are you using our staff use taxis to get to the field? Some of them use motorcycle taxis, which are called borders here in Uganda. Some of them, if it's a very short distance, you can actually walk. But typically, for example, for instance, Elijah's farm, it could take us between 1.5 to 3 hours.
That's great. Thank you so much. I know for those of you who have taken a trip to the field, sometimes reaching our clients is no small feat and something that the staff do every day that we are so grateful for. So thank you. Our next question is, how do you identify and vet participants or clients?
How do you identify? So we have a number of ways of identifying our clients. Our loan officers usually go into the communities. So we have different clients in different communities. So once we get into a community, we are already building relationships with the clients themselves. We are building relationship with the local leaders in the area. We are also just surveying and looking around for any potential, business partnerships or any place where we can offer our services. So it's usually by identifying clients in the communities we serve. And also we have a number of clients who are referred to us by the clients whom we've served in the past. So we have referrals as well as our own officers going out into the communities and assessing the different needs within the communities.
Mm-hmm. That's great. This question is a little bit similar in that I think, we all saw, you can kind of sense the special relationship that people like Abraham have with clients like Janet. We see that everywhere we go, really. And one of the things Abraham talked about was looking at the different kind of businesses in a community that a client might consider opening with this youth project. And someone's asked, what other kind of businesses like that do clients like Janet open? So we know they're not all schools, right? But because they're working together so closely, they have those special relationships, and they're also doing these deep assessments in the market. Can you talk a little bit about that?
So in regards to the kind of businesses that a number of our clients would open, for example, in Janet's area, which is a bit distant from one of our physical banking locations, a client could open a business like mobile banking or banking using one's phone, because people would find it very difficult to travel maybe for 2 hours to go and deposit their money or withdraw their money. So once they open a mobile money outlet, a client can walk 5 minutes to the mobile money agent and deposit their money into the bank or withdraw their money from their bank account. So that is one of the businesses that a client would open. We also have businesses like retail shops. We saw that Janet has a school, so kids will need books, pens, pencils. Janet would need chalk, for her chalkboard. So people would open retail shops where they sell things like books and pens and pencils, or shops where they sell sugar, basic household items that you don't get within the community, where someone may go to a nearby trading center and buy these commodities and bring it nearer to that village. Or we also have people opening up roadside stalls just to sell things like agriculture-related items that they get from their gardens, maybe fresh corn or fresh beans, or or bananas, the extra bananas from your farm. You can come and put it on the roadside and and sell it there. So those are some of the businesses that our clients would ideally open.
Yeah, I know for me, when I was there with you, and we often just think about just like Elijah, just the farmer, just the person growing the food, but really there are so many businesses all the way through the supply chain. And so it's really awesome to see all those opportunities identified all the way right down to the consumer. So this is a related question, I think. How is inflation affecting clients and staff right now?
Yeah, so this is really, I should say, a worldwide, challenge with a rise in fuel prices. Most commodity prices have increased. For example, Elijah, the seed that he used to buy possibly for an acre of land, he can't afford it with the money that he used to buy it 5 or 6 or 7 months ago. He needs more money to buy more seed. He needs more money to buy fertilizers for his garden. He needs more money possibly to pay the laborers, because all the cost of commodities have increased. So it makes his farming more expensive. And at the end of the day, these clients will of course hike these prices, not because they want to hike them, but because the economy dictates it. Mm-hmm. So once the economy has dictated it and the prices are higher, they may, of course, it will also affect the markets, mm-hmm. who will come and purchase from them, or fewer people may even have that money to come and purchase from them. So it leads to a higher cost of input that makes even the cost of the output very, very high. In terms of schools, if you look at, where kids have to be fed, prices of food has increased in the schools. Yes, we are looking at affordable, low-cost schools, and that is what all our proprietors would really love to do, to have affordable, low-cost schools. But with inflation, the cost of food has increased, and definitely for a school to remain operational and be able to serve the students the way they should serve them, that means even the school fees will be increased a little just to accommodate that inflation. That puts a burden on the parents, who have to really look for this money to pay. Some of them may not quite afford it, but it's really a challenge in all different sectors, both agriculture, in the education sector, in the small micro businesses. It's a challenge.
Yeah, thank you, Alice. Thanks for sharing that. One of our other questions is about opportunity targeting women. So how does opportunity target women in its programs?
All right. So in terms of women, we are really passionate about women empowerment because of a number of reasons. Most of the times, the women face different challenges. And also Uganda or Africa generally being a patriarchal society, most of the assets, most of the collateral land, property are owned by the men. So it would be a challenge for a woman to walk into a bank to access funding without collateral. You need the consent of a husband, or you may need the consent of a father or the consent of a brother. And sometimes they may not be so willing, to give that kind of consent. So what Opportunity International has done is to create what is called the trust groups, where clients come together based on trust. Client A knows client B, knows client C. So they come together and co-guarantee each other. They come together as a group and say, we would like to get a loan, and we are standing, co-guaranteeing each other, because we all don't have collateral. So we have that kind of methodology that has helped so many women access funding to grow their businesses, to even just to become financially confident. Then also a number of our clients are not confident enough to walk into the banking premises. So we have trainings. Whenever we recruit a group of clients, we take them through what we call the orientation seminar, just to build their confidence and to help them create visions and, for themselves. So we train them to just gain that kind of confidence, to be able to walk into a banking premises, to be able to understand what kind of funding and financial options are there for them. We also help them with what is called collateral guarantee fund. So the collateral guarantee fund helps a client access a loan without having physical collateral. So it helps a bank easily give a client a loan without any physical collateral. So those are some of the other ways we are helping women access money more easily. And maybe one last thing, the pricing of loans. Sometimes the pricing of the cost of funding is really high. So what we have done, we offer what is called the interest buy down, where we can buy the client's interest by maybe even half of what they would pay, in a normal setting. So those are some of the interventions that we are giving clients here in Uganda.
Yeah, that's great. Someone else was curious if access to education is different for women. So along the lines of what you're talking about, and also is it different in rural areas?
Yeah, thank you so much for that. Yeah, being a woman, I'm happy to answer that question. Yes, access to education is different, for men and for women. Most times, if a family faces, most of the families, things are changing slowly, but it's not yet there at the pace that we want it to change. Most times, if a family faces a financial challenge and they have children, male and female, they will most probably send the boy to school and not the girl. It will be that kind of, who do I take? Their mentality is the girl will get married and move into another family, so would rather educate the girls. Would rather educate the boys. And also in terms of, we had a program at some point called the Girl Education Challenge, where we were just encouraging more girls to come into schools, would help schools build, things like fences, or help them buy vans with a kind of school improvement loans, such that they can travel long distances and pick the girls from those places, because girls are really vulnerable to any, to different kinds of challenges. So yes, access to education is a bit of a challenge, culturally, yes, but also because of just sometimes being a girl, in these kinds of societies. It gets worse when you go to the rural areas. In the city centers, there's a bit of, people are a bit exposed to what is happening in the world, and they feel education is important for both the girls and both the boys. In the rural areas, it's still a bit of a challenge, but we are trying to work with our education quality specialists to identify those kind of local schools to ensure, and also encourage our different schools to look into the communities and afford what is more affordable, so that a parent will not feel education is too expensive to take my girl child to school.
Yeah, thank you so much. I know one of the things particularly challenging in Uganda was that schools were closed due to COVID lockdowns for 2 years. It was one of the longest, if not the longest, closures. And so our education finance team has worked particularly hard coming off of that to make sure that schools are able to open back up. And that is particularly for the girls who were out of school and the many challenge that they face just based on their gender. And so I know there were, really specific training, sensitivity trainings, even just things so that teachers and leaders could understand what these children were going to be facing coming back in. And it makes it even more inspiring to go to a school like the Hilton Junior School and see so many students there thriving, so soon after such a big shift in their world, and especially so many female students. And you all saw Isiko saying, like, I'm going to go be a gynecologist and take care of children. So they're so inspiring, right? They're the reason we do what we do. We had another question related to education about if you could talk just quickly about some of the ongoing professional development that the teachers do when they're in the EduQuality program.
Okay, yeah. So in terms of for the education quality program, we have programs that basically target the school leaders. Then we also have programs that target the classroom interaction between the student and the teacher. How does a teacher best deliver the training, the training material? How do they arrange the classroom settings? How do you keep students engaged, in terms of, because in a class, there are different kinds of kids. There are those who are really quiet, there are those who are very reserved, there are those who are very talkative, there are those who know all the answers, and all the questions that are asked is them who are raising up their hands. How do you ensure that every child should have their confidence built? How do you ensure that every child is able to participate and willing to participate? So they train teachers on different teaching and training methodologies to ensure that the child who is the target and who is the reason behind this activity, who is the reason behind this program, their lives are actually touched, their lives are transformed, and they are able to learn at the same pace, with every other child. So that is one of the activities that it's basically helping teachers engage students. How best can every learner be engaged in class?
Mm-hmm. That's great. Thank you. Someone asked, how do your clients safely store their earnings? So if for some of our listeners who weren't on in the very beginning, might be a good opportunity to just share about mobile money for a moment.
Okay. Storage of their money. We have different ways of supporting our clients. Maybe for those who may have seen Janet and her group, where they were storing money in a box, which is really unsafe. So with mobile money coming in, for such clients, we would encourage them to collect the money, go to a mobile money agent, and then deposit that money into their banking accounts from whichever distance they are. It doesn't matter whether it's 100 miles or 50 miles away from your location. You can actually safely move to a mobile money agent that is close by your location, and you can deposit that money. So that is one of the ways we encourage clients, especially those who are really far off, to keep their money safe and just avoid keeping their money in boxes. Because one of the reasons why many of the clients keep their money in boxes is because of the distance. I would find it very difficult to travel 100 miles or 50 miles or 40 miles to go and deposit my money. And also it becomes very expensive and very costly to travel that distance to just go and save my money. And also the security concerns of someone maybe following me and maybe, attack me on the way to the bank. So we've opened up what is called the mobile banking, as well as what is called the agent banking, where we can't access a mobile money agent. We have what is called an agent bank, which is like a small village bank, safe enough, where clients can go and deposit their money or even withdraw their money and be able to keep that money safe.
That's great. Thank you. So I see that we're closing in on time. We have a lot of really good questions here. I am going to pick two more. So let's see if we can do those two. So one is, can you tell us what a typical in-person Insight trip is like? So somebody's already itching to go to the field, and I love it.
Yeah, I'm also very excited about that question. And I'm surely looking forward to welcoming you all to Uganda, possibly in the nearest future. So what a typical Insight trip would look like. Okay, we try and make it as, as interesting as possible. One of the things that you may not experience while you're at your homes is the interaction with the different cultures. Uganda is home to about 40 different tribes, 40 different languages, 40 different dialects, with different cultural, with different cultures. But one thing that unites us, we are very friendly people. So you'll get to interact with the friendliness of the people, you get to interact with the culture, see the faces of the kids, touch them, move with them, greet them, high-five them. So you have that chance of literally interacting with the community and having a very close-up interaction with especially when you go to the schools. It's really fun because, all the kids are around you. So it can really, really, really be fun. And when you go outside the city center, there's a lot of greenery, a lot of vegetation, a lot of different kinds of vegetation that you'll see. We also have what is, of course, when a number of times you may come from different states and you have never met. So it's also another great opportunity for you to make new friends and, interact with people on different aspects of life, aspects of their states, and different things about the travelers. And also one of the things that we try to integrate into our Insight trips are the different excursions. We have a number of activities in Uganda that anyone can actually go and watch or just go and experience. We have a number of national parks and so many animals that you can visit. The vegetation in the different places are very different. You can go for the gorilla trekking. You can go for bungee jumping. You can go for whitewater rafting. So there are different activities for anyone. If you love adrenaline, activities, we have it in Uganda. If you just want to go peaceful, quiet, to a nice place and, you're just quiet and just relaxing, all those places are in Uganda. So that is what a typical Insight trip would look like. Just experiencing the terrain, the roads. We have these bumpy roads, usually called the African massage on the bumpy roads. So yeah, so there's a lot to experience when you come here physically. So I'm really looking forward. And I guess the entire Uganda team is looking forward to hosting you guys. So that is basically just a snip of what happens during our Insight trips.
That's great. Someone else asked, how do we consider an in-person visit? So you can always go to our website, opportunity.org/Insight trips. That's where you'll always see what's coming up. Or you can talk to your opportunity representative and find out what they might have in the hopper, whom they might be taking. Okay, last question, Alice. As you go about your work in 2022, what is giving you hope?
So what is giving me hope? I've been in this field for a long time. I started out as a loan officer, just like you've had Laura introduced me. What gives me hope is the life of the clients I have seen transformed through the years. So even when I meet a new client who seems to be possibly having no hope for the future, who simply seems to be who does not know where the next meal is coming from, who is not sure whether he or she will be able to take his or her kids to school through to, primary school, to secondary school, to the university. I still have hope that with support from all our viewers today, those who have been supporting us and those who are considering to support us, and also the staff who are on the ground, the passion they have to reach out and, transform the lives of these clients, train them, impact their lives in different ways, give them hope even where there is no hope. So what keeps my hope alive is the fact that if something in the past happened to a client and their lives have been transformed and they're in a better place today, we can still do more to move more people from a state of vulnerability to the state where we want them to be. And that comes with, it's a combined effort. It's not just about us in Uganda. It's not just about Laura and her team in our OIUS office. It's about all of us. It's about all your support. So that is what gives me hope. And seeing the numbers of people that have registered for this virtual insight trip today, it really gives me hope that we have support. We have a team around us. We have people who believe in our mission and vision. So it keeps my hope alive. And it keeps me working. It keeps me, energized to wake up in the morning, go out there and make a difference in someone's life.
Thank you so much, Alice. That's beautiful. I'm sure everyone on the line is as inspired as I am, and I know you. So thank you so much. Thanks for being here, everyone on the line. Thank you so much for listening. Thanks for submitting your questions. If we weren't able to get to one of your questions, we do know who you are, so we can reach out and answer that, or you can also talk to your opportunity representative afterwards. If you have any lingering questions, you can email getinfo, GETINFO, at opportunity.org, and we will do our best to answer you there as well. So thank you so much, Alice. Hope you have a great night, and to everyone else, have a wonderful rest of your day.